welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing Welcome to the Café of Love by Churrr. Now before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled on this manhwa, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. Now for those of you left behind, let's talk about some content warnings. There may be references to homophobia, sexual assault, dubious consent, rape, confinement, bullying, self-loathing, violence, suicidal ideation, self-harm, religion, blood, and death as they do appear in this manhwa. Now, if none that's going to bother you, let's go ahead and get started. First, let's start with a quick synopsis. Ingyu is an incubus. He survives off of the vitality of all manner of beings by having sex with them. Unfortunately, due to the barrier created by the divine beings around humanity's world, Ingyu is limited to the beasts and monsters that live in devildom to get vitality. It's often gross, painful, and dangerous, and Ingyu longs to get vitality from humans. So one day he finally takes the plunge. He ends up getting a chance from the ruler of devildom to break through the barrier and live among the humans. Thanks to the fallen divine being, Taegyu, able to move through the barrier and protect Ingyu, Ingyu gets the chance to finally be in the human world. Once in the human world, Ingyu wastes no time getting his vitality buffet going by opening up a late-night cafe. He charms the coffee lids, so when unsuspecting customers take a sip, he can take the form of the one they want the most and take his time sampling them before sending them off as if they had just woken from a dream. All of this is routine until Ingyu encounters Kangen. Kangen is tired, overworked, and an office drone, and one of his few comforts is coffee. He is precisely Ingyu's type. Unfortunately, Kangen isn't that easily charmed, as every attempt Ingyu makes to charm him fails. Sure, Ingyu could just move on and charm the next passerby, but he doesn't want just anyone anymore. He wants Kangen, and he's determined to get him. Even if he gets a taste, though, will that be enough? And if it's not, what happens to a human that gets targeted again and again by an incubus? So first, let's start with the art style. It's very sketchy. It's inconsistent and super cartoony. All the things I typically wouldn't like and probably would end up avoiding if I could possibly. But I love this one. I'm usually super picky about my artwork, but there's something so charming and down to earth about it. This is very smutty and comedic with dark moments all held up by the unique art style. It's very flexible and enhances the funny moments just as well as the sad, dark, and sometimes scary points. It's not going to be the prettiest thing you've ever seen, and some parts look wonky, but it's still very pleasing to the eye in its own way. And I think the content really overpowers any nitpicks I might have about the art. So while we're on the topic of content, I really love this story far more than I would have expected from the onset. The first episodes are relatively superficial with very little interaction between Ingyu and Kangen and little explanation of either of their motivations. Still, once they start interacting more directly, everything really starts moving. Ingyu is so warm and open, and I love how he desperately longs for someone to love him for who he is rather than who the charm forces him to see. Since Kangen has walled himself off from people and love for so long, all he can see is Ingyu, and Ingyu has no problem jumping over those walls and forcing himself into Kangen's life. Admittedly, I didn't care for either Kangen or Ingyu to begin with. Ingyu is bubbly, but I found him a little annoying. On the other side of the spectrum, Kangen seems like a dull, angry storm cloud, but when they come together, it's magic. Ingyu helps pull out the person who wants to love and be intimate with someone from Kangen, revealing this sensitive, loving, and sensual being. Kangen, on the other hand, helps ground Ingyu and helps give him purpose and direction where before he was prone to flitting about on a whim. They end up being two pieces of a puzzle that fit perfectly together. I really enjoyed watching them grow together, but I especially loved it when it was revealed that Ingyu is an incubus. Rather than not believing it or being afraid, Kangen is all the more loving and supportive, and we love that. However, my favorite part might just be the bonus stories at the end, which feature the hinted side couple. Jiho is such a cool dude and an excellent friend despite Kangen and Ingyu getting together when it all started because Jiho said he fell in love with Ingyu at first sight. He still supports them with no arguments. Similarly, Taegyu has stuck around despite doing everything he could before to drag Ingyu back to devildom. Jiho really helps Taegyu learn about love and lust, and their misunderstanding is totally understandable and nice to watch them work through. This is all just a super cohesive love story. So, this probably goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I really love this. I wouldn't say it's revolutionary, nor would I call it a classic, but it's a strong romantic BL entry. It's a must read for anyone getting into BL or manhwa in general because it's a solid representation of all the best parts of those. It's got all the smut you could want with a decent plot to boot. It doesn't get much better than this. So, have you read Welcome to the Cafe of Love? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!